So it's an interesting like B2B market that we're in DMCs. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said like immersive experiences and curated experiences.
Right.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I get a call from a client. They're like, I don't just want another dinner. Half the time they don't even want a seated dinner because the people just haven't been face to face enough to not want to spend the time talking to each other and engaging with each other. So we probably get like, I don't know, maybe 20 calls a week that are, hey, I want an experience that's over dinner, that's not a cooking class and not a putt-putt experience or something kind of hokey. We want a destination moment, or we want an immersive moment that checks off some other boxes for a leadership team or an executive group or an incentive group. All right, so I'm Cara Pratt. I have been an executive at a destination management company for many years now, and have had the pleasure of working with you, Ashley, for the last 3 or 4 years. But you come from a plethora of destination management companies and a really interesting background. Why don't you dive into what your history is?
Yeah, so I'm Ashley Curran. Obviously, Cara, that I have seen many DMCs in my background throughout my career. I've spent most of, if not all of my career in the destination management space. And I've basically done everything, right? So anything they've asked me to do, I've kind of stepped in and said, sure, I'll take a stab at that. So anything from operations to business development to marketing to sales, creative services, I've kind of dipped my toes into a variety of things. So it's been a bit of a journey.
Absolutely. And I'm opposite. I started in sales, stayed in sales, and continued with sales. So I fell into a DMC because most people don't know what a destination management company is. We actually both went to the same college, which I think is kind of a fun tie-in as well. So we're JMU alums.
Yeah.
And I went to the business school. I studied hospitality and actually like lined myself up for this career without knowing it because they never once mentioned to me what a DMC was. But they said the senior year project's going to be a themed dinner. And I was like, I'm in. Sign me up. You had a different experience at JMU,
I think that's
but
wild.
it both led us to the same kind of place, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, led us to the same place. I think the interesting thing is you knew what you wanted to do in terms of hospitality, but didn't really know what that would lead you to, and then landed in the world of DMC. So I think that's interesting. I had no idea even what events were when I went to college. I had big plans to be a journalist. I was going to go break news and travel the world, and stumbled into a career in events, starting out at a law firm and then working at a nonprofit, an association in the DC market. And from there was like, what else can I do within the space of events? And found out through contracting as a independent contractor, which we're all familiar of, doing a couple of gigs for a friend of mine and working a couple of programs. And I was like, this is really interesting. I've never even heard of this. I'd love to know more, and just kind of jumped in, and started out as my career as an operations manager, running programs. So it was a wild ride to start there. I think you get a lot of boots on the ground experience working in operations out the gate. So understanding the true program flow and how things work. And now I've kind of pivoted into 1,000 other directions, and here I am now in the marketing role at CSI DMC. So it's a journey.
And I think it's just so funny though that like nobody talks about DMCs until you find yourself in them. DMC standing for Destination Management Company. Like we really started as those destination experts. Tour operators is really how the book was written, right? It was local tour operators. So when that group of people come to town for a convention and the spouses need to do an activity, these are the tour operators to call, right? And that's like dating, 40 years ago when CSI sort of started in existence. But what I think it's really interesting is how it's evolved in the last few years. And I think what I'm excited to talk about over the course of this podcast is like, what is a DMC now, and what is our industry doing that's creating opportunities for DMCs to be a part of business meetings more than they ever were before. And also, we're not mom and pop tour operators anymore. We're big, huge companies that have offices all over the country that are really doing big and impactful business events that I think is going to open up some different interesting conversations. And that's why I'm so excited that this is, Event Planner Confessions, because I think there's been so many moments over my career that are moments where I was like, geez, couldn't have someone just told me that first, so I didn't have to make that mistake myself?
Yes.
Or
wouldn't
moments
wouldn't it have felt great? Yeah, it would have been great if someone just kind of pulled the curtain back and gave you a little bit of an insider scoop about what really a destination management company does outside of their core services, how they operate, how they run, how to be successful working with the DMC. I mean, it would have saved a lot of time and energy in our past lives, I'm sure. So.
And how many times do you tell someone you work for a DMC and have them say, "Oh, what's that?" Right? Or can you help with my son's bar mitzvah? And you're just like, yeah, we've totally missed the mark here. How can we make sure that this doesn't keep happening? So I'm excited to make sure we kind of like set the record straight and really outline what is a DMC. So Ashley, if I were just to ask you that, what would be your quick response, your elevator pitch for lack of better words?
I was going to say, you're putting me on the spot with my elevator pitch. So I would say a destination management company is really a full service event company that provides event services from the moment you touch down to the moment you leave a destination and everything in between. We really provide a program designed around the destination experience, but also are really a partner to our clients, plugged into what their goals and objectives are, and really understanding the program objectives so that we can deliver that full service, immersive, customized experience for a group. I don't know. How did I do?
I thought that was excellent. I thought that was great.
All right, great. All right, I'm done here. I'm leaving.
So it's an interesting B2B market that we're in DMCs. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said immersive experiences and curated experiences.
Right.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I get a call from a client. They're like, I don't just want another dinner. Half the time they don't even want a seated dinner because people just haven't been face to face enough to not want to spend the time talking to each other and engaging with each other. So we probably get I don't know, maybe 20 calls a week that are, hey, I want an experience that's over dinner, that's not a cooking class and not a putt-putt experience or something kind of hokey. We want a destination moment, or we want an immersive moment that checks off some other boxes for a leadership team or an executive group or an incentive group. And I had an opportunity recently where we did something really cool, and I thought really...
You had an incredible experience. We got the privilege of being able to record that experience. So I'm so excited to dive into that. I'd love to talk about that now.
Yeah, so we were tasked with that, but the audience was meeting planners, and they were next generation leaders at their organizations, finance and insurance companies, very large finance and insurance companies. And these are really experienced planners that are, getting up there in their careers, and they've seen it all. And these are the ones calling us all the time. So when you get a call to say, put on something for these guys, it is pressure, right? And you're feeling like I need to think outside the box and make sure we make an impact. And we worked with some of our incredible creative team members to bring in a new technology. We flew in a gentleman from France to do a sound experience dinner that's never been done before in the US. We took every course of dinner and we actually brought sound to life with each course. So what does that even mean, right? Because when I first was telling my team about it, they were like, that sounds like a load of baloney. How are you paying? What are you paying for, really? But then when we actually did it, we were blown away. And every single person of the 50 people in attendance came up to me after the event and were like, holy moly, I've never seen anything like it. It was so cool.
How did you pitch this idea to a client? Because I think that's part of that demystifying piece, right? How do you take this kind of out of the box, crazy probably never before done experience and sell it to a client that it's the first time you're doing something like this. How do you do that? I mean, how did you even have that conversation to get them to buy into this wild concept?
Yeah, I mean, the good news is I already had built some trust and rapport with this customer, and we'd worked together before, and we'd already set the bar really high, which is why we had to think really creatively, because we'd had some really successful programs together, and we had like a 10-second clip of this sound experience happening at a very high-end luxury experience in Europe. And we said, imagine what we could do here in the US that could really have a ripple effect and people could take back and do with their own executive leadership groups. And, literally that 10-second video clip was enough, because we all know video speaks volumes. We all watch videos all day long on our phone. We know video is what sells. So that's why we even brought in the videographer to capture it when we did it. But the first course started with a water drink moment. And last minute, we decided to grab the bartender and let him be a part of it. And he actually like stirred the ice and poured the drink and got to watch as the entire drink came to life with sound waves. And everybody, it was a show-stopping moment. Interestingly enough, we got a very big rain spell that day, and we had to move locations for our dinner. So let's talk about confession moments. In confession, this wasn't exactly the location we had planned. This wasn't even the setup we had planned. Our entertainer was supposed to be on a rolling cart, so he moved through the dinner, and you could touch and feel each course as he played the music to it. We had to put him up on a bar because the ground was cobblestone in the new venue that was rainproof. And as the guests walked in, the thunder hit its all-time high. So when we talk about the sound moments, the thunder really added to the experience as well. But when we dove right in, people were like,
the sound moment away. that you didn't think you needed, right? The sound moment you
Mother
didn't think you
Nature
needed.
gave me a little boost that day, and helped me out with our whole melody. And so then we served a salad course, and as we served a salad course, the professional sound specialist actually had the lettuce hooked up to his sound machine, and as he moved his hand closer and farther from the lettuce, it was making different noises, and different shapes of lettuce were doing different things, and everyone could hear their food as they ate it. I mean, it was really different. We went into a main course, where he weighed out different tuna and tomatoes and different things. And as the stack got higher on the scale, the pitch went in different directions. And then we closed it out with a pineapple dessert. The pineapple was the logo for the organization that we partnered with. And the pineapple was served on the plate. And we had a whole bar of pineapples where afterwards the guests could get up from dinner and get up and play the pineapples. I mean, they were beating them and they were strumming like percussion, and it was this whole band happening as like a built-in after party. So it was super fun. The CEO of the organization gave a testimonial after, just saying how they never experienced anything quite like it, and they were really able to bond with the people sitting next to them because they had something unique and new that they did together for a first time. And that set the groundwork for the next couple of days together. And I've gotten so many emails from the people attending that meeting in the last week since I got home, basically being like, never seen anything like it. Can't wait to figure out a way to implement it into an event. And I think when we think about what is a DMC is somebody who is bringing interesting experiential moments like that to your meetings, so they're not just meetings anymore.
Right. And bringing those experiences to the people to experience them together, right? Because that's the whole core of what we do. We're creating connections. So having this opportunity to experience something side by side with a group of people and have that memory maker and be able to talk about that experience moving forward again and again, that's what we do this for, right? Confession, that's what we love about our job, right? That's really what we hope to get out of it, is those moments. That's incredible. I mean, I have to say, like, part of me keeps thinking, what would that soundtrack sound like if we packaged it all up and handed it out at the end? I feel like that would be such an incredible, magical moment for them to continue to relive if they could tune back in and say, oh, let me just listen to the soundtrack of my dinner that I had with this experiential, event. What a great concept.
That's what's so fun about it, right? Is we just did it one way, one time, to open up the doors to all the ways that we could do it moving forward. And how do we, take the the local piece where we can use local food and beverage or other things that aren't even food and beverage that we can play music to, that can be incorporated into an event in some capacity. So, it's just the tip of the iceberg, literally iceberg lettuce, that we could really have some fun with. But I think, with that, the conversation always goes to, well, geez, how much would something like that cost? And there's this whole demystifying moment around DMCs about pricing. And I bring that up because it's sort of that taboo topic that nobody wants to talk about. And knowing that we're doing some confessions here, it's important for us to bring to light that, like, working with a DMC isn't necessarily your cheaper option, and we don't want to be, right? We're not here to be this huge cost savings for you. We are here to create experiences that you wouldn't be able to do yourself, and negotiate on your behalf because of our volume of buying power, which can result in significant cost savings. But it's not like you want to hire me because I'm going to save you 10% across the board. Like, that's not what we do. So, I mean, how often are you in a conversation where you're like trying to explain to somebody that what we do has, value to it, which is worth paying for, but also, how do you justify the costs around a DMC? Like, that's a hard conversations that our clients often deal with internally with their stakeholders.
Well, I think it's important that you have that conversation and you understand what their objectives are, right? I think what I find most often is the thing that planners are really looking for is the time and energy it's going to take to create something really unique and special. And they're juggling 1,000 different things, right? They're handling all of the, hotel accommodations, the worrying about attrition, worrying about all of the coordination for their, executives and, all of the pieces, the program of the program track of the event. But we can take some of that off their plate and save them the time and energy and also create this incredible experience. It's a win-win. So I feel like that's kind of the selling point that I always lean into, especially when I kind of put on my hat previously when I would do sales or operations, is we're here to save you time. We're here to make your lives easier. That's why you hire a DMC. That's why you spend the money that you do to work with us. And we have those local connections to be able to make it all happen and happen seamlessly. Or event planner confession here. If it doesn't happen seamlessly, we're figuring it out all behind the scenes and you're not having to worry about that. And we're coming up with, all the solutions before it becomes a problem, right? So we're saving you a lot of that headache too.
Totally.
That's kind of my thing.
I totally agree. There was 2 scenarios this week with the same venue that we actually had a client reach out and say, I booked this venue myself, but I need you to enhance it and create an experience. And we, did a whole hologram entranceway and all kinds of wonderful things. And then it turned out that venue actually booked another group on the other side of an air wall, not even an air wall. It was like a pipe and drape wall. And it was like a party group where we were doing a corporate dinner with like a heavy program. And they called us in panic mode. And we, were able to do as much as we could to create a seamless night for the group that hired us. But if they had called us before they picked their venue and before they went ahead and selected a venue, we probably would have steered them to a venue that could have avoided all of these problems, saved them boatloads of money that we spent on things like draping and additional entertainment and all these things to try to create a different experience. And candidly, I've had 2 other clients call me this week and ask me about that venue. And I've been able to say to them, let me save you all of the time to not go through what we've just gone through with 2 other groups. And how about you consider these other 3 venues? We'll source them, we'll manage it, and you don't have to worry about a thing. And I think that value add that they were able to say, like, oh my gosh, just by making that one phone call and talking to you for 5 minutes, you saved me this, what could have been really bad for my career if I'd picked this venue. That's what the DMC in a moment's all about. And, in true confession, that was some hard conversations we had to have with the venue. Like, we still need to work with them sometimes. But we're certainly not in a place where we're going to bring business to them right now because they're not in line with what our clients' expectations are, unfortunately, which is hard too, right? When it's like it's iconic venue and it's just really hard.
Well, it's hard, but I think it's also you have the relationship that you've built within your destination to have those conversations and have them candidly. And sometimes, at least, if I were a planner, I sometimes would feel a little bit like I don't know how to navigate these conversations. I don't have this working relationship. I don't know all the nuances here. We have that relationship. We've already built that. We've already been in that space. We can have those hard conversations with those venues and with those vendors to say, hey, this didn't really meet those expectations. And this is the reason why. And this is how we're going to approach it moving forward. So we can kind of also take a little bit of that hardship out of, navigating tough conversations by being that person, that intermediary between those for our planners, which is, I think, is an incredible, incredible value. So yeah. I have to ask, I would assume that this planner probably came to you afterwards and probably confessed, like, I will never make that mistake again, right? So, yeah. And probably will always connect with you sooner first, so that they can, so they can be prepared. So yes. I guess, silver lining at the end of it, that you're kind of feeling like, hey, there, we proved our value in real time. So
we certainly did. And I think that, you never want someone to have to go through it the hard way. And what's going to be really fun about this show as we continue to share stories and share, what CSI is up to, we're going to be able to share some of those moments and save some of our clients down the road, hopefully, from ending up in some of the same positions that we've been in. There's just like little things as destination experts that we know about our destination and we know about planning events that we're going to save, thousands of hours of work for somebody else. And we know everyone's short staffed, so that's relevant too. So, the other thing too is like, we're all about building trust with our clients, and we're all about being human and authentic and transparent in the process along the way. So, there are obviously, other people in our space that are doing similar things to what we're doing. But I think the thing that I keep hearing from our customers and from even our vendors and our venues and everyone we work with in different capacities is we're really the nice team to work with. And I hear this in every market that we work in. I have the pleasure of now being involved in more than just Boston, which was my previous sort of world. And now I'm seeing that like, we're the nice people. And like, don't you want to work with the nice people? Because nice people not only get things done, but nice people want to work for, right? So like the independent contractors like fight over shifts for us, and the bus drivers want to work our events. And even the hotels will come to me, and like the general manager of a hotel came to me recently and they said, our events run better when you guys are in the building. And that feels really cool to say. And I think that's what like the human side of CSI is. And that's what I'm really excited to share over the course of the next, chunk of time as we continue to unveil what CSI is up to, but also kind of what DMCs are doing and why they're really bringing something to the table that clients need right now, as face-to-face meetings are just skyrocketing through the roof as far as, what corporations are spending their money on.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great perspective. And I get the pleasure in my role in marketing. I get to travel the country. I get to show up on site to these incredible events that are being produced. And obviously I'm putting my hat on as a marketing person, trying to tell the story of what we do as a company and the people that work for us and why we love the job we do and love doing this, incredible role for our clients. And it is always enlightening to see, because we've had a really great opportunity to sit down with some of our trusted clients, market to market. They're sitting down and they're saying exactly what you're saying, Cara. They're saying to us, and we have them on video, they're ready to talk about how wonderful CSI is to work with, but how there are this partnership to them and how much they value that relationship and how pleasurable it is to work with us, because we don't really view things as a transactional, or we don't really view the interactions that we have transactionally. We view those interactions as a real opportunity to learn about them, to learn about their programs, to learn about what makes a successful event for them and their stakeholders. So it's been really great. And I'm excited to do more of that as we go into 2025, because it's the best part of my job is when I get to show up and hear from clients, hear from our team about how amazing it is to work at CSI, to work with CSI.
It's so true. And I think, I also have the pleasure of being a part of some of the culture moments that we create internally. whether it's summer parties or holiday events or just happy hours that we do, like what feels like every other day. Everyone just wants to hang out with each other. It's a wonderful thing. And just building that rapport. Everyone helps each other so much. Like, it is not a siloed effort on any event. I've competed against DMCs on bids where they're like, this is your point of contact and they're going to handle every single thing. So you just have one person and to go to them for everything. And we don't do it that way. Here's your main point of contact in the sales process. They're supported by your creative services person, and they have an operations lead and then a transportation lead, and then the business development person will be involved, and as needed, so will their leadership team, right? And we're privately owned, so we can have as many people involved in as many projects as we want, which, honestly really makes the clients feel supported. And we're building teams constantly that travel with clients and do whatever is needed for these folks that are asking for it. Because there's no one size fits all in what we do either. And I feel like, it's cool to really have the experts do what the experts need to do in each part of the program. Because the person that's setting up the ballroom for your beautiful awards gala shouldn't necessarily be the same person that's loading the buses on the curb, in my opinion, because those are two very different strengths in a human. And I just believe that you need to have those different people involved in those different roles. So I've always really believed in that model, and it's worked really well for us at CSI. And I think, back to the whole like demystifying what we've got going on in a DMC, like we've got specialties in we offer such a variety of services, but we have people that specialize in so many of those and have experience working, at these venues. Maybe they came from previous restaurant groups, and we have all these different people with all these different knowledge sets that we apply and work with each customer as needed to make sure it's the right fit for them as well. So I don't know, there's a lot of fun stuff to be said for it, but I was on a debrief call with a client yesterday, and it was a very large golf tournament that we were involved in, and we had quite a large team associated. There was actually 8 of us from CSI on the debrief call, and the client said one of the highlights of the week for me was when there was an evacuation at the golf course. We actually saved the day with our vehicles and our transportation this golf course because we were prepared for a risk management plan when the golf, the organization, the actual, it was a group off of the PGA, was not prepared for it the way we were, and we saved the day. And it made us look good. This is the client saying it made us look good that CSI, was able to handle and accommodate those moments. So the risk management, I think, is another piece that we're going to probably talk on
it's a huge
in the future a lot more. But it's something that that's what the DMCs bring to the table. Those moments of, those moments you don't really want to talk about, but you need to because they happen.
Yeah, and they obviously they change the way you think about things. I remember a previous DMC that I worked with. We were tasked with the opening of a big monument in DC, and it was a huge undertaking. It involved a lot of key players, but in the coordination of everything, as we were rounding out the week to our final kind of big event, which was the actual ceremony at the monument itself. Just before that, we got hit with a first ever in DC earthquake. Followed by a potential huge hurricane that was going to hit. So we had to regroup as an entire team. This was a huge multi-million-dollar, event spanning several weeks, really, of on-site execution, but a year of planning. And we had to kind of all come together and decide, okay, how are we going to change this? We had some significant challenges with the actual venue structure that was sustained from the earthquake. We couldn't host it at that one venue. We had to pivot to a different venue. And then we obviously had to restructure our entire outdoor plan with the groundbreaking and push off the groundbreaking itself and the opening of the monument itself because of the natural disasters that we faced. And I remember coming out of that meeting, and it was kind of gut wrenching, right? You're working so hard over so long to kind of ramp up to this incredible experience. You have disappointed stakeholders, your clients are disappointed. But I remember this one moment where the client came up to me and a couple of the other colleagues that I worked with and said, I wouldn't want to be in the trenches with anyone else but you. And it was a really great feeling to know that man, all of these things stacked up one after the other, after the other, after the other, you're kind of just taking a beating. but there's this feeling of like, we're all in this together. We can all commiserate together. We can, celebrate together. And even though the outcome ultimately wasn't exactly what we were hoping, and confession, the hurricane missed us. So after all of that, we planned for the hurricane that never even showed up. So that was another gut
Classic.
punch. But to have a client, of course, right? Plan for the hurricane and sunny skies. But the client coming up and saying that, I wouldn't want to be in the trenches with anyone else but you guys. It just makes you feel great. You walk away with your head held high. And I think that really is the feeling that we strive for and hope for as we partner with our clients.
Yeah. And I think, that's the point, right? We're humans and we sell a service and you have to like the people you work with on that service. So, we really pride ourselves in training those people really well and building a culture of people that like each other, people that like to work hard and are passionate about what they do, because we work a lot of nights and weekends and all kinds of crazy hours. So we have to enjoy it to some capacity. So, I think that from a big picture standpoint, as we really uncover the DMC, it's the people behind the DMC that make it what it is. And, CSI is a really special place and I feel really lucky to be a part of it. And I just, as someone who came from an independent DMC, was acquired by CSI, became a partner in the organization in 2018, I got to see how much value being a part of a big company that was small, small once and understands growth. I know we just got the Inc. 5000, fastest growing companies. We were one of the top of the charts, at least in our field. We were the highest up as we could be. And to see us grow and to see us grow smart and, scale in a way that we can manage it because we're bringing on the right people is kind of something I never even realized was going to be part of my future when I first started getting into DMCs. And I'm so glad to be where I am right now because I'm really proud of what CSI's done the last few years and is continuing to do. And I'm excited to talk about it more. So I'm really excited about the future of our conversations. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to just talk about what's working, what's happening, and really share some confessions along the way and hopefully share with you some of our team members along the way as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be great to hear some of those stories. And, I think it's, when I look back and I think this is my third DNC that I've worked in, this will be my last. And I always say that to people when they ask me, well, you've had a career in DMCs, like, would you ever consider when you leave going to a different DMC? I'm like, I'm not leaving. This is it for me. Like I'm here until the end. I'm not going to go to any other DMC. It's the best place I've ever worked because of the people that we work with, because of the opportunities that we have. I mean, the fact that we're sitting here on a podcast having this conversation is a testament to that. We have the opportunity to have these, incredible experiences with one another and for our clients. And I got to confess, I mean, this is the best place I've worked so far. So, hate to say it, Cara, but you're kind of stuck with me till the end.
Proud of that. I love it. I am happy to be here too. And I have a hard stop here shortly because I am talking to a really cool vendor about an augmented reality experience that we're going to create for a client coming up, which I am excited to share.
Can't wait to hear about it
someday soon when it comes to fruition. But this has been so much fun, Ashley. And again, I think it's just the beginning. So more to come.
Yeah, can't wait. Let's keep it going.